Hello, my name is Brianna, and welcome to the series Lessons in Warfare. Now, on the first clip or episode, I was talking about the lessons that I learned in childhood, and I did a little bit of flashbacking in that lesson. And so here I'll pick up with where things started and how it rolled over into adolescence. So, as a young child, again, I got a pretty rough start coming into this place called Earth. Mom was sick. You can catch all that in the first video. But what I am going to go into is about as I was growing up as a kid, growing around, family and going to school, making friends and things like that. I had a hard time getting along with people, and it wasn't because I had a hard time making friends. I was very friendly, probably a lot. Well, I'm not even gonna say probably, way more friendlier than I am now. And it's not that oh, I don't like people and all that kind of stuff. No, I once I break all these stories down to y'all gonna see why. I've just learned to keep to myself and kind of stick with myself. And I definitely have to pray on making friends or dating because everything is about spiritual warfare. Like, I really don't think, I'm not even gonna say I really don't think. I know that when people read Ephesians 6, the whole chapter, they're not paying attention. When God tells us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but it's the spirits, people don't pay attention to that. And see, this is why you have people that are still in bondage with certain family members because we love to hear that, oh, that's your family and family got to stick together. It would be nice if family did stick together, but it got to take everybody in the family to stick together. It can't just be one person. If a family is more than one person, then it's going to take more than one person for the family to stick together. And the truth that a lot of people don't want to accept is that some of the first people that disrespected you, made you feel like crap, made you feel worthless, made your self esteem and your confidence just down to the ground, not rooted at all. And even though it's called self esteem, people are a product of their environment. And so the confidence that I had at 5, I can honestly say I don't have it at 29. I'm working on it, and it ain't just bad, but and people seem to feel like they're so far fetched because what they see on the outside, and it's like that means nothing. We as society got to stop looking at what you see on the outside and think, no, that person ain't going through nothing. That person ain't been through nothing. Huh, let me tell you, the first bully that I ever had was not somebody at school. Those are the secondary bullies. The primary bullies came from people in my family. Okay, people in my family wanted me to feel ugly, wanted me to feel fat. At the time that I was not even fat. Now, right now, your girl is overweight for her height and size and all of that. And I know people that don't like to go by the whole BMI charts and be like, oh, well, they can't really tell you what your body should be made of. Yeah, but your girl unhealthy, and I know. But God, I'm covered by the blood. But a time where I was my healthiest, where I was my strongest, I was beat down the most by people who were supposed to love me. I was manipulated and lied to and lied on and played with, thought it was funny by people that were supposed to love me for their own reasons, whether, of course, it's jealousy, you know, that's the main reason. I was going to give you all of this, but that's the main reason that people do that. They're jealous, they're envious, they want something that you got. And this is coming from somebody who had more than me, and still to this day, she has more than me. Do we talk? We do not, because what's the point? I've tried to reconcile with this particular person on several occasions, many times, and yet this person will still try to paint this picture of me like I'm just, my own family member now. Like I just, whatever. And you just got to get to a point where you could care less. So Not only was I dealing with this growing up from family, and not just her, but not only was I dealing with this from family, I get to school, I'm trying to make friends, I'm doing my work, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm being kind where I can. I wasn't the best. I ain't gonna act like I was. But now I wasn't just walking up on nobody, just attacking them or bullying them. You had to attack me first for me to attack back. Because I always wanted people to, feel love. Always wanted to be loving, be kind, and just spread goodness to people. I wasn't trying to make people cry. As a kid, I already understood the concept of crying and sadness, so I didn't want to spread it. But when you spread it to me, as a kid, as kids do, when you spread it to me, I was spreading it back. So, but nevertheless, even when I was trying to turn the other cheek, I would still, of course, get bullied, get attacked. Like, honey, I've been through some things. There was a time where um, the bullying was getting to the point where I've had some teachers that was in on it. A teacher is supposed to be there to protect their students. But if you're going to automatically choose what side you want to hear, you're not protecting me, especially when I'm telling the truth. And this was a teacher who knew the effects that I was going through at this point in time. We talking, well, not we, but me. I'm talking fifth grade. This is when the separation of my parents really hit really bad. And so everything was just, whole world turned upside down. And you would think that you could go to school and just focus and get some, relief, I guess. But at the same time, I was dealing with the chaos of separating parents. I had chaos at school where people decided they wanted to set me up and lie on me to get me in trouble. I had a teacher who was not woman enough to see through kids' playful games. I had friends who, the whole time I thought they were my friends, they probably were the ringleaders in the setups and the bullying that I was going through. But I still didn't pay attention. I'm just 10. I'm not really noticing it, but I was going through it. And I remember how it made me feel. And so, rolling over to middle school, I made it my business to stick up for myself. Now, ideally, at the time, I had cousins who, you know, we're all the same age, but they went to one school together and I went to a school by myself. So the whole protection or whatever, I didn't have it like they did. But I still didn't allow that to keep me in this state of mind where there were so many times people would try to punk me out. And I'm like, I might not indulge because I don't do confrontation. But if it come down to it and I got to protect myself, I was always told how to protect myself. So I'm going to do it. So the spiritual attacks rolled on over from elementary to middle school and eventually on to high school, where, and what we don't pay attention to is we all go through that in society, where it's the puberty thing. Once you strike puberty, some people hit it before others and some people hit it a lot, later. There's the comparison. Again, stealing the joy, because the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. If he can get you to start comparing yourself to somebody, comparing yourself, oh, they got this and I don't got that. Like, I was literally being compared to girls because I started my womanhood at 9 and they still did not have it. And I'm like, please, this is nothing that you want. I'm 9 years old and I already got to wear pads. You really want this lifestyle? It's going to be a part two for this one.